Hi there, this is Lorena and today we're talking once again about human genetics. I hope you like this kind of videos, and if you do, don't forget to press the like button and subscribe to this channel. So I want to talk about a few genetic facts that you might know or you might not know. Like for example, the first one is that our DNA, every human DNA, is similar about 99.9%, while 0.01% of our DNA is quite different. So we have about 30,000 something genes in our body. I mean, the genes are stored inside of our DNA, inside of the cells, but each one of our cells stores our DNA, which has about 30,000 something genes. So what I was saying, 99.9% of our DNA is very similar. Only 0.01% of our DNA is different. I mean, as in mutated, different. That makes us very different one from another. But the rest of the 99.9% is quite similar. Probably the way that they activate or deactivate, I mean the genes they activate, deactivate, are influenced by genes that are close to them, or transposons, as I was talking about in the other video, which are jumping genes that go next to different genes and activate or deactivate them or make them work in a different way. So that makes us different, but actually we're quite similar if you think about it, because our genes are quite similar. The second thing I wanted to talk to you about is the length of our DNA. You might not know this because, as I'm saying, the DNA is stored inside of our cells, and our cells are inside of our body about 30 trillion, which are, I don't even know how many zeros after the 3. We have that many cells in our body. I mean, the adult human body has a lot of cells, but the DNA is stored inside of the nucleus of the cell. So the cells are extremely tiny, and inside of that extremely tiny cell, each one of them, we have the nucleus, and inside of the nucleus, we have the DNA. It's 2 meters long, and it's been studied. I'm not inventing this myself. I'm not saying this just because I might have read about it somewhere. No, it's been studied, and it's been studied that if you take the DNA and you make it long, you will see that the length of it is 2 meters. I'm going to put here the amount of meters, I mean the length in inches for you to see in case you're seeing me from the United States or something like that. But it's 206 for the male, I think, and 208 for the female. So the women in general have a longer DNA. The next fact is that our DNA is influenced by epigenetics. You might not know what epigenetics are, but epigenetic changes are the changes that take place in our DNA because of the environment. This kind of sounds like science fiction, but it's actually real. Like, for example, the things that you eat, the things that you do, your environment, the places that you live in, all that kind of stuff will probably affect your DNA and the way that your genes are activated or deactivated. So you might be born with a set of genes that are activated, but throughout your life, because of the lifestyle that you have, because of the places that you live in, your DNA might be constantly kind of changing. I mean, not the DNA, but the expression of the genes from your DNA might change because of epigenetics. This might sound kind of wild, but it's thought that every single man in the world, I mean the male version of the people in the world, share the same common ancestor who is thought to have lived about 209,000 years ago, like the first one of our species, let's say. Using the same kind of information, it is thought that also all females in the world share the same ancestor, which is called Mitochondrial Eve. And the interesting part about this is that they took about 150 people, like I think 140 something, and they checked their mitochondrial DNA, which is the mother kind of DNA, the X DNA, because you know men have the Y, women have the X. So they checked the X DNA for all that kind of people, and they decided, or they found out, that they all share the same common ancestor way back in time. So it is thought to be about 200,000 years back, which is kind of weird because men are about 109,000 years back, but I think that's kind of the approx, let's say, timeline. I would think they would be kind of in the same timeline. I don't know how to explain this. The genetic mutation rate for humans is quite high and it's unbelievable. It is thought that each human has about 100 to 200 mutations in their genes per generation. So, I mean, like for example, me, I would probably have about 100 200 mutations in my body. My kids might have about 100 200 mutated genes in their body, and blah blah blah. Just that kind of way in general throughout history. So probably my great 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 grandmother had quite a lot of mutations in her body. I mean, I have quite a lot of mutation different from her body in her time. But the thing about mutations is that most of them are not even visible for the human eye. I mean, it's not like it's a mutation. I mean, there are illnesses that create mutations that are quite visible, but most of the mutations in our body are quite invisible. We don't see them, we don't really notice them. Think about what I said before. We have more than 30,000 genes in our body. For 100 of them to be changed or 200 of them to be changed is not even 0.01% of our DNA that is changed slightly. So we don't really see that kind of mutations. Maybe one mutation make our hair look a bit different, or maybe one mutation make us like our hair become white before what it was supposed to be, or become white maybe after that kind of time. So that kind of mutations we might not be able to track. This takes me to the next point, which is the rate of mutations allow us to find out this is not about humans necessarily, but it's quite interesting as well, so I decided to put it here. It was not even in my list, but I remembered it right now, so this is kind of an extra one. So the mutation rates allow us to know when two different species have gone their separate ways during history. Like for example, also the humans probably when they separated from other kind of humanoids, is that how they were called? I think so. So we are able to track more or less the timeline of specific differences in species. Yeah, that was an extra one, and I hope you understand this, because I don't know if I was clear enough for this one. This is a bit scary because supposedly we have pieces of our DNA that are called phantom DNA, and these pieces of our DNA are remnants of viral infections from our ancestors. So we still have pieces of viruses that the bodies of our ancestors fought with, and they just are there in our DNA. They just decided to live there forever. And some of them even changed us or made us different probably, or they might just have turned into a functioning part of our DNA, like a specific functioning gene, just because they wanted to help. I don't know. This is the beauty of me not being a scientist. I'm able to make that kind of I'm able to make these kind of jokes, and nobody thinks I'm crazy because I'm not a scientist. I'm just a normal human being, just like you and you and you and you and everybody that's watching this video now. The human body has specific genetic adaptations for different kind of situations. Like for example, people in Europe and some other areas in the world have developed this specific gene, which is actually one of the first shorts that I've made here on YouTube, which is the lactose tolerance kind of genetic change. Because, as mammals, we are not supposed to be lactose tolerant after the time that we kind of grow up a bit. In the first year or so, first 2 years, we're supposed to drink milk, like every mammal in the first period of their life. But after that, most of the mammals become lactose intolerant because they are not supposed to drink that milk more than the time that they are being raised, let's say. I don't know how to explain this, but for some of the Europe, population and some other places, which I don't remember right now, there is a change in the genes that influence the lactase persistence, which means that we are able to take the lactase from our enzymes in our body and take this with us in the following years, not only the first ones of our life. So we become lactose tolerant because for our ancestors it was probably a benefit, or it made them better in an evolutionary way for them to be able to have this kind of trait, let's say. And also there are some people in very cold climates that have specific genes that help them stay warmer or not freeze to that, let's say. This is kind of an easy way to explain this, but it's not that general. But they have specific genes that help them strive in an environment that is quite cold. Also, I just read a few days ago news about a tribe that is able to submerge themselves in the water for a few minutes, and they just have evolved that way, and that's kind of genetic as well. I gave you 3 examples. I didn't know I was able to do that, but yeah. This is a good one. I bet you didn't know this one. There are specific areas of our DNA that have been devoid of genes, probably because of the fact that specific genes were not serving us in evolution. Probably they're just empty, but supposedly they serve an important role in our DNA and the creation of our body. So we're not just missing parts of our DNA entirely, they're just empty spaces in our DNA. Probably this could be like, it's just me speaking, this could be like a library where you put stuff, and then there are some places that are empty that you are able to fill, and maybe you take some books out and then you put other books in. Probably that could be interesting. That's an interesting way of seeing this kind of stuff. Yeah, I feel like, sorry, there's a plane going up around. The next one is quite interesting because I love to be able to live in this time and era because of this, not specifically because of everything that's happening in the world right now, but I feel that this could be a very positive advance in human history, let's say. The fact that there's a technology which is developed by CRISPR-Cas9, which is able to edit genes. It's called gene editing therapy or gene editing technology. I talked about this in one of my last videos when the UK just approved the Cas9 therapy for sickle cell anemia and beta thalassemia, which are 2 red blood cells illnesses that are genetic. So also on this theme, I just wanted to talk to you about this because apparently the United States also approved this kind of treatment for people in the US, and there are some other specific therapies that are being experimented on for other kind of people. I think they made this for mice in the laboratory, where they changed some genes in the retina of the mice and made them see again. And there are some others that are trying to change the cancer cells to make them good. So yeah, Cas9 is quite an interesting revolution for humans at this point in time. It's like the Industrial Revolution is kind of like that kind of stuff, you know. It changes the world that we live in, as well as the artificial intelligence. It changes the world that we live in, and we're here to live it. We kind of live through this kind of revolution. I hope you really liked this video, and if you did, don't forget to press the like button and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more of my videos, and also share this with other people if you think they will find this interesting. I know that people nowadays are not actually that interested in science. I might be a freak one, but I really hope to be able to educate some other people on stuff that is interesting, and we should know more about ourselves. And I think that human genetics is where we should start to understand ourselves, understand how this affects us, how this affected the people before us, like our ancestors, maybe our grandparents, maybe our parents, maybe how this affects the way that our children will be, and how the way that we do stuff affects people that will come after us. So it's not only about us. It's never been only about us. It's been about our ancestors, and it's going to be about the future generations. And we do stuff in our life that changes things for the people that come after us, and we should be careful about that. And yeah, I really hope you like this video, and I will see you in one of my next ones. Bye.